know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep fitting in love.
What is going on, people? What is going on? It's G, and we are back in the building. You already know what time it is. You know what it is. Please make sure you smash that like button. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're here with another video today, looking at another Liverpool youngster. Obviously, we've spoken about Bajcetic. Spoken about another player, not a youngster, but we've spoken about the scouser in the team in Trent Alexander-Arnold. And today I wanted to take a look at Tyler Morton. Now, big up Jamie, by the way. He's heard me speak a lot, on the Jamie Phillips football chat, talking about Tyler Morton, and this is during the season, before the season ended, and I said, don't be surprised, do not be surprised if Liverpool don't necessarily go out and sign, would I say, a traditional number 6 when you've still got Tyler Morton, who signed a deal before he left to go on loan, I believe. I think he signed it just before he left to go on loan to Blackburn, last season. A long-term deal as well. So, I said, don't be surprised if you see this guy back in the team, in the squad, for next season, for the 23-24 season. And at this current moment in time, again, at the time of this video, anything can happen, of course. But at the time of this video, that kind of looks like the situation. Now, we're looking at so many different types of midfielders, and a lot of people, and I do mean a lot, probably in terms of online social media, that's always different from the match going fans and stuff like that. But online, a lot of people are saying, Liverpool need to buy number 6, we have to get a replacement for Fabinho and yada 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 kind of thing. And I don't disagree with that, to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I personally think Liverpool should be looking at either a replacement or someone to come in at the bare minimum as a backup to Fabinho, and to be able to rotate, for Fabinho moving into next season. Regardless of, even if he goes back to the level that he was at previously, there still needs to be a rotation player, because we've seen what happens when you've got a player who is just down on his knees and and he just can't seem to be able to function at the level required on a consistent enough basis. Again, it's funny because people say, oh, it's just one season. But I always say, one season is a very good indicator of players. So it's a full season. Like, I understand, obviously, people don't like mentioning, seasons, and, oh, it could just be an anomaly. And that is true in some cases, for some players, it could just be a case of, they get back to where they were at kind of thing. It might have just, we've seen it with Marcus Rashford, he looked like he was just spiraling for a hot second, in terms of his performances on the pitch kind of thing. I know there was a lot of talk about his off-field things, so to speak, but I'm not saying it can never happen and stuff like that, but at the same time, a season is still a very good indicator of, in terms of where someone is at. It's going to be Marcus Rashford is lucky in a sense where he was still young enough that you still got so much time to be able to get back to even at bare minimum, just the level that you were at previously. Even whether you people think he's gone beyond that or whatever, doesn't really matter. He still had enough time in his career that he could have taken another 2-3 years and still gotten himself to that position. When you're someone like Fabinho, who's like 29 years of age, I think potentially even 30, now you're like, bro, you don't have that kind of time to be able to get yourself back to that kind of level. I'm not saying, again, we know with players, the players of today, it's not like the players of yesteryear where they hit 30 and just poof, they just get rubbish. I'm not saying that at all. I'm more saying it to the fact that someone like a Fabinho, in the system that Klopp plays, a couple more years of this kind of system, you will break down. You're like, you will definitely 100% break down. There will be a time after this, because your time after this will have to be somewhere at a lower level, purely because of everything you've endured during your time here. That's why I look at it when I come to someone like a Fabinho. Hence the reason why I mentioned having a replacement. Are we forgetting Tyler Morton? I put out the video, for Bajcetic recently about, don't forget Bajcetic kind of thing, but don't forget Tyler Morton, people. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I'm his biggest fan. That would be an absolute lie, because I don't think he's good enough for the first team squad. I remember watching him in that game. I know it was just one game, but I remember watching him in that game against Spurs. couple seasons back. I think when he was going for the quad, and he just looked like a fish out of water. But I'm not really holding him to that. I'm just more looking really at his time at Blackburn and how I feel he could potentially fit into the team. I think that's a way better indicator for someone who's played regularly and stuff like that. You look at all the positions that obviously he's played this season. Played defensive mid 27 times this season, central midfield 7 times, and 2 at centre back. So I'm going to say he's a defensive midfielder. I know he's played a few good times. I think he's even played more than that at centre back this season for Blackburn. And Blackburn fans, please let me know in the comments as well if you are watching this, in terms of his positioning, and also just in terms of what you guys think about Tyler Morton for you guys this season. Some of the stuff I've seen about him, I've got mixed reviews. At one point there were really, really good reviews about Tyler Morton. You know, yeah, he's going to do this and he's going to do that, and he's a great player for us, and all that kind of crap. But I've been getting mixed reviews since then, if I'm being 100% honest with you. Big up Sujoy, by the way, man. Shout out to yourself. Sorry, I couldn't pronounce the full name, but big up Sujoy. Left a comment actually on my Bajcetic video, and he was talking about Tyler Morton, which actually made me think about doing this video. And he said, bro, I think Morton also deserves a chance. He needs to fill in more to play that 6 role. Outstanding technical ability that he has got. Now, do I agree with that? I think he has got decent technical ability. The filling out more, 100%. It's a bit like Bajcetic. Big up JJ as well, by the way. He calls it the popcorn diet, that they're on at Liverpool. And to be honest, as much as I laugh about it, sometimes I sit there and think, some of these young players at Liverpool, what is the diet over there? Because some of the things that you guys, like the body that you guys are coming with, when you're trying to come into men's football, I'm just like, you ain't even ready. But then I'm looking at other teams, I'm looking at these other youngsters, and they already look like, in terms of the body wise, they would look like they're kind of there, they're ready. At the bare minimum, they're ready. And I even look at, when I think about players as well, you look at Thiago when he came to the club, now he's filled out a bit more. Is that just, in terms of just acclimatizing to, the team and what it requires to play in this kind of Klopp system? You do need to be able to have a lot of strength, especially strength in legs. You're going to need to have a strong hammy boy, because the amount of running that you're going to potentially be doing, these players, I'm watching them and I'm like, you just look so brittle. It might, obviously, just your body at the end of the day, it is what it is. But that's something that does worry me with a lot of players. I look at Tyler Morton, Bajcetic, Kai Gordon. Ben Doak is literally the only one that I look at and think, you know what? A couple years time, when he fills into that body as he gets older and gets a lot more stronger as he gets older, he might be a problem. But he didn't come from our academy. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't played in that kind of academy, so he was obviously over there in Scotland, so it's a bit different for him. But back to what Sujoy was saying, I think we can rotate him. He's talking about Tyler Morton in the cups. I think he's talking about Morton here anyway, Morton and Bajcetic. We can rotate him in the cups in Europa League to develop, and it'll take off some games from Fabinho's shoulder. I feel like this is the reason we are not really going for a proper 6, because we have Morton and Bajcetic. What do you think? And guys, in the comment sections, what do you think about that? Forget what you want to happen in terms of, yes, we want a new number 6. We all wanted, everyone wanted a Ugarte. After watching a few highlights and stuff like that, a few compilations, everyone was like, yep, that Arsenal game confirmed it for me. He's the guy. Cool, well, we ain't getting him. We've had a lot of talks in regards to Akone, to Gravenberch, Thuram. Do those guys play as 6s? Maybe they can play there, like in terms of they can fill in those positions, but are they natural number 6s? Kone probably more so, in my personal opinion, but are they natural number 6s? Are they the kind of 6s that you think that Liverpool are potentially, looking at heading into next season? Look at Tyler Morton's game this season. Got himself 2 assists, creates 7 big chances, this season. Touches per game, gets quite a lot of touches, in the match. He is someone who does like to take the ball and in the middle of the park, because he has got decent technical ability and a decent passing range. You can see here, look at his percentages in terms of the passing in own half, accurate passes in own half, 21 0.6 per game, 90% accurate per game. He gets his 82%, 36 passes, almost 37 passes, that he's doing per game. Accurate opposition half, 69%, pretty decent, for someone quite young. Long balls and chip passes, obviously not really his forte. Maybe that's something that he's going to necessarily need to work on. If you look at the positions that he takes up, now he looks like he's a player who is all over the gap. This might, if I reckon you show this to Klopp, he might be like, yeah, this is the kind of guy that I want. This is the kind of guy that I need. Someone who can fill in, go into a couple positions and stuff like that, someone who can play in many areas, and that might be exactly, what he's, looking for. But is that what we're looking for? Again, most of his game, I can see here, most of the heat map is obviously geared towards center of the park / defensive midfield, a little bit in the attacking areas, also out wide. But I think that's when he was playing, as that kind of centre back there. He's decent at defending out wide. Again, I still think he's a player that's going to need to potentially fill out, just a little bit more. If I showed you the statistics here, again, nothing to really, write home about. If I'm being totally honest with you, passing, pretty decent, clearances, per game. Everything else is quite low, if I'm being totally honest with you. Again, nothing really to write home about. And this is where I was a little bit like, I'm just getting mixed reviews in regards to someone, like Tyler Morton. And again, I just want to ask you, Liverpool fans, what do you see with Tyler Morton? What kind of role do you see him in? He is in that Bajcetic kind of mold in terms of what happens to them next season, because they played a little bit of football last season. Obviously, him a lot more than Bajcetic. He's played a lot of games at championship level. He probably feels, okay, I played a little bit for the senior side for Liverpool. Whatever the reviews are in regards to that. I've gone away, done what Harvey Elliott's done, which is gone away, played some football at championship level. I've got some games under my belt, got some men's football under my belt. I feel like I'm ready to come back in and potentially have a role within the team. Now, I wouldn't begrudge him of that. Of course, I want players to have that kind of mentality. But you as a Liverpool fan, how do you kind of see that? Do you think that might be one of the reasons why we're not necessarily looking for an actual number 6, because we have Bajcetic, because we have Tyler Morton, who can play in those areas? Whether we think they're good enough or not, they can play in those areas. Jurgen Klopp I always think he likes to always try and bring through youngsters. Whether it really does pan out and it's to the betterment or detriment of the team, that's all subjective. But regardless of it, he does probably want to try and put a Tyler Morton into the team. Will we then see us actually go for a number 6? If we do go out and sign some more players, as an example, let's just look at the players in midfield that we've got currently. You've got Thiago, you've got Jordan Henderson, you've got Fabinho, you've got Curtis Jones, if you want to put him in there. You've now got Alexis McAllister. Who else have we got in the middle of the park? I think that's 5 now. So it's that Thiago, Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, Jordan Henderson, Fabinho. If you want to count Tyler Morton, Bajcetic, that's 7 players that you've obviously already got. Alexis McAllister, that's 8 players that you've got there in the middle of the park. We're potentially looking at adding at least 2 more at bare minimum. That means you're going to have 10 players to play in the middle of the park. Now, we know with Jurgen Klopp's football, he's going to need about 10 players, if not more, to play, because players pick up injuries, loss of form, and all that kind of stuff. So in theory, that's probably a really, really good idea. But then we've got to start putting our Liverpool cap on and start thinking, how will Klopp and the management team and the owners and stuff, how are they going to see it? Someone like a Tyler Morton, who they've given a new deal to, whether if he's got interest, then maybe they might be able to ship him off and sell him. But if he doesn't have any interest, he's going to need to come back into the team. I don't think it's going to be wise for him to go back into like the under 21s. Doesn't really make any sense, because you're already past that level, in my opinion. You're ready to play, at men's football. You've done so quite a lot for Blackburn last season, who were doing pretty well at one point. So would it make sense to go back? I don't think so. Where does he now end up? Does he just become that Europa League type of player? Plays in the cup competitions? Fair enough. Is he good enough to play in those kind of competitions? Are you confident that he can play, in those kind of competitions, at this current moment in time? Remember who we are. Remember where we're at as a club. Remember what we're trying to achieve. These are all things. Listen, us as fans are thinking about it. Me as a content creator, I'm obviously thinking a bit too deeply about it. But these are the things that we do need to think. And I know that Klopp is also thinking about it. Here for Blackburn in a 4-2-3-1, plays in that double pivot. Do we see him potentially alongside a Trent Alexander-Arnold, in that position? When he's in that 4-3-3 formation, again, he's at the center of that. So that tells me, okay, cool. He's not someone who's going to play left central midfield or right central midfield. You're going to need to have him in the middle. And in these games, he is playing a little bit deeper than Travis and Shimotskis. So if that's the case, again, in that 4-3-3 that Liverpool play, imagine him here in this team as an example. You'd have whoever you're going to have right central midfield, maybe Alexis McAllister left, and then you're going to need to have Tyler Morton in that lone 6 position. Is he someone who's good enough to play in that position? I'm not 100% sure. And again, if you look here in that double pivot position alongside Trent Alexander-Arnold, are we comfortable with him in that position? He's decent on the ball. He can pick out a little bit of a pass. He is someone who has his head up in games, but he's also someone that I feel does take a little bit of time on the ball when he does have it. He's neat enough on the ball. He's got decent dribbling ability, but I wouldn't, write home about it if I'm being totally honest with you. So he obviously has got improvement and he's young. So I'm not gonna. He's only 20 years of age. I'm not trying to say he's a finished article. Neither do I expect him to be one. But when you're at a club like Liverpool, we're trying to challenge for all of these honours, and then you're looking at the club potentially looking at all of these players, the Gravenberches, the Kones, the Turams, the Viegas. I know they all play different positions, but we're also looking at different profiles of individual. Tyler Morton is another profile. Bajcetic is another profile of midfielder that we've already got. Thiago, Fabinho, Henderson. They're all relatively different profiles. How do you fit all of these guys in? Keep all of these kind of guys happy? Or do you just say, do you sell him? Do you keep him? Do you loan him out? What do you guys necessarily think that, we should do with a Tyler Morton? Let me know, obviously, what you think in the comments about that. I just wanted to kind of touch upon that because I just think that, we're forgetting a lot about Tyler Morton, and then we're wondering why we're at this moment in time, again, at this time of the window, why we're not necessarily going for a number 6, so to speak. This might be a reason. I know people ain't going to like it. I already know. I already know people are going to be like, gee, what are you talking about? Do you really? I don't want him in that position. I prefer us to go out and sign someone whilst you obviously rotating with Fabinho. Morton, for me, you can stick around, or it might be just best for you to just go out again on another loan, and then we can kind of take things when next season, at the end of next season, where Thiago might leave, you might potentially look to sell a Fabinho again just to get the valuation on him. The situation might look a lot better for him, and it also will help with his development. You don't want his development to stall. If you spend a season literally out of squads on the bench, it's not going to help you. It's really, really not going to help you. These players need to play. So let me know, obviously, what you think in the comment. Today, we looked at Tyler Morton. I'm G. Thank you for watching. I am